I'm sure you've heard the term lost in translation, right? And maybe you've seen a joke told in one language, repeated in another, and then translated back into your language, and the joke didn't make sense at all. Or the party game that we all used to play, where people speaking the same language would tell a story through 5 different people, all speaking the same language, and the story ending up being a completely different story anyway. I think that was called the telephone game, and yes, I am that old. We used to play games like that. You probably know that before the 1920s, karate was unknown outside Okinawa, and the more important fact is that before 1901, karate was taught privately. Most masters, even the well-known ones, had very few students. The students were taught sequences from the kata and then taught the meanings of the movements. Then they would practice the applications with a partner. Today, this is called bunkai. Bunkai is usually translated as analysis. This term is used more freely today because in modern karate you have to reverse engineer the kata to find the intended applications. 100 years ago, there was no need for a bunkai study because application was part of the fabric of training. But from 1901, when karate was first taught in public schools in Okinawa, and then later in colleges in Japan, there were suddenly formal classes. More students were practicing at one time than ever gathered in the teacher's garden, like in the old days, which was where most training took place before that time. Children in public schools could not be taught the dangerous techniques of traditional karate, so the movements were modified to be safer. And this version of karate was taken to mainland Japan. Even though the college students in Japan were presumably more mature, they had to be taught something simplified too, because there was a limited term of attendance. Disciples of a teacher on Okinawa tended to stay for decades. Moreover, the Japanese way of thinking, particularly at that time, was very military-like and perfect for drilling large numbers of spirited trainees. And nothing better served these enthusiastic practitioners than controlled combat, competitive matches. The techniques that were not allowed in competition were choking, pulling hair, throwing, striking the groin, attacking the limbs, locking the joints, striking the eyes, and striking the spine. All the best techniques for self-defense. So with the movements limited to block, punch, kick, there's little advantage to the method as far as personal defense is concerned. If you can't use the stuff that works best, you can't beat a stronger or bigger opponent. So, in competition, this leads to the necessity of ignoring defense in order to score points. No points awarded for blocking, you know? This is why, inevitably, competitive karate ends up in this conundrum. A bigger, stronger person who also knows how to punch and kick will beat the smaller one. And in matches today, one discipline is often put against another. If the winner is a jiu-jitsu expert, for example, the feeling is that jiu-jitsu beats karate. If he's a boxer, boxing beats karate. If it's just a bigger karate man, the small guy loses. It should be obvious that competitive karate and self-defense are worlds apart. So, in almost one generation, karate went from being composed of very effective, secret fighting methods collected and proven over the centuries, taught by a teacher in his home and only to people who were trustworthy, and went from that to a form that could be used for sport and that anyone got to learn. Then lots and lots of people learned this version that was missing the true applications. And then, you probably guessed it, they became the new teachers. And that is how we got modern karate. If you are not in the karate world already, or even if you are, when you look around you might see white uniforms, lots of Japanese writing, and see people jumping and yelling and think that's pretty old stuff. It's not. In recent years, many karate enthusiasts have become disenchanted with the standardized version. Those who truly love the karate way have sought training in traditional Okinawan styles, someplace where they can learn the original forms and their applications, their true applications. There is a movement to reverse engineer the karate that they learned, and more visitors are making pilgrimages to Okinawa every year to study. Old-style karate is making a comeback. However, since karate has gone worldwide and tourism is central to the economy of Okinawa, and because later generation karate teachers make a living from teaching, unlike their ancestors, what are the chances you're going to get the good stuff? If they know the most effective applications, are they really going to show you, the foreigner, on a week-long visit or at a weekend seminar? Do you really think they're going to trot out the family secrets of deadly techniques? Well, maybe some of them are, but many people who go to Okinawa in search of their karate roots do it for the status of having done it and to have their picture taken with the master and to get a great vacation on the side. The ones who probed the deep knowledge did so through great effort. They are karate hackers. With the Karate Hacker course, the most effective maneuvers for self-defense are covered in a sequential manner, from the most impossibly simple to the only slightly more complex. Nothing complicated. Someone with no training whatsoever can learn to be powerful in a short time. Those with karate training already can make their techniques more effective by applying a slightly different strategy, and no athletic ability is required to do any of it. The Common Sense Self-Defense course is not a formal study of karate. The schedule doesn't include lots of exercise or cultural learning or other material. It is a scientific way to gain self-defense ability for people who could not do the usual training. If you're accepted for membership, you get the course and will automatically be able to join the online forum where you can post about your progress, get pointers, and have technical questions answered, and form friendships with others like you. There are plenty of places where you can do the modern thing and line up with a bunch of others to learn the changed versions of the movements. It's not so easy to learn one-on-one from a teacher in his garden like in the past. Or to put it another way, you can read a translation of a translation and still enjoy the book. But to read it in the original language, that's something else. Go to karatehack.net and find out. 私は沖縄のプロの教師を軽蔑するつもりないですね。私は55年間空手の練習をつけています。当然、私は意見があります。